Okay, let's take a look at that KD ratio. We are down again. We are at 2.180. I've been playing a lot of Contaminated. I've been trying my hand at the Little Bird. You're going to see some of that video in this rant. And to the gentleman who asked me how I got a 2.2, because he's lucky if he gets a 0.9. I don't know if you guys noticed this, but on Season 2 on the lower right, they put a View All Stats button. And when you click on that, it'll actually blow up and give you a lot more stats. So if I go ahead and click on that, we'll see that my actual stats are much lower than 2.18. They are actually sitting at 0.83. Now I assume that these full stats remove bot kills and anything that they deem unworthy. But 0.83, I assume that's against human targets. When I do casual breakthrough and I include bots, I'm back up to the 2.18. So I think that explains that one to the one guy in the comment section that asked about that. This rant, and at the end of it, it gets pretty salty. So, I say SeaBear out. I say it twice. The first time was actually at the end of my initial discussion about good and evil, and I watched the State of the Union address, and I got pretty hot on some of the bullshit that I saw. And so right after that, I make an announcement that, hey, here's a postscript, here's an addendum, right? And hide the kids and hide the wives, because the SeaBear was pretty hot when he wrote that, or when he said that. So just FYI, if you just want to end at the first, this is SeaBear out, then go ahead and just stop. If you want to hear the rant, continue on. I'll put the time link down below. And also, you'll notice when you're listening to it that I cut out dictionary definitions, and I put like a little placeholder. I'll put that link down below as well if you just want to hear those definitions. Those definitions, just reading them straight out of the American Heritage Dictionary that I received on my freshman year at the Academy in 1986, so it's unblemished by today's alterations of definitions. If you want to hear those, that is after the rant, and I'll put that link down below as well, so you can just click to it if you want to hear it. But it's 5 minutes long. I really think it disrupted the flow of the podcast, so I decided to edit those out and just tack them on at the end, so that, it's complete. You can hear everything. But me just sitting there reading definitions got rather long in the tooth for almost 5 minutes. I figured I'd lose my audience, so I just snipped them and I put them at the end as a reference, as a footnote, if you will. So with that said, here is my podcast, a Gen X veteran's view on good and evil. You're listening to the Raging SeaBears podcast. I've been thinking long and hard on what I wanted to do for this week's podcast. One thing that I do want to talk about is a situation that my daughter had gone through not too long ago. But as I thought about how I would structure that podcast and the topics that I wanted to touch on, I feel that there needs to be a foundation that needs to be laid prior to that discussion. Never mind the fact that she does not want me to talk about it. But I think it would be helpful to some of you who have teenage daughters that are in public school. But before we get there, we have to agree on some common terms. One thing that I've noticed in today's society is that people keep changing the freaking definitions of words. An example, democracy. Oh my God, Trump is a threat to democracy. Or, AOC is a threat to democracy. Or Joe Biden is a threat to democracy. Information on social media is a threat to democracy. Everything is a freaking threat to democracy. Well, what is a democracy? A democracy is when you have your opinion, I have my opinion, we get together, we talk and find common ground, and then move forward based on that common ground. But that is not the definition of democracy that we live in this society. Democracy is, my way is the right way, and if you don't agree with me, then you're wrong and you need to be canceled. That's not democracy. There's no common ground there. It's my way or the highway, and that is known as totalitarianism. But they changed the definition. What is the truth? Is the truth what we're being fed on social media? Is the truth what we're being spoon-fed through the news media and Operation Mockingbird? Not to mention MK Ultra on the social media. Go back and watch my last couple of videos on that. What is the truth? The truth is being obscured. The truth is what you believe, whether there's foundational or factual foundation to it or not. What is a woman? You ask some people in this world, they can't tell you. They'll tell you that a woman is whoever who thinks that they're a woman. Well, I'm sorry, that's called circular logic. You can't use the same word to define itself. By the way, a woman is an adult human female. What is good and what is evil? Good, everybody thinks that they're good. Even people who are killing people think they're good. The kid that just got killed, with a shotgun and a can of gasoline, jumping the gate at Mar-a-Lago, thought he was doing good, and other people would see it as he was doing evil. So what is good and evil? We really need to sit down and think about this. We need to find some common ground. At this point in the podcast, I had intended to insert dictionary definitions of good and evil. As I'm splicing this together, I see that these definitions are about 3-4 minutes long, and I'm afraid I'm going to lose you guys for it. So let's just say that a definition of evil is morally wrong, and a definition of good is morally right. If you want to hear the word-for-word dictionary definitions, click to the end of the video. The link will be down below. But this is basically a placeholder for that to keep this podcast rolling. If you couldn't tell, I recorded that previously because I was flipping through pages in the dictionary and had to put on glasses and everything else. My eyes are going in my old age. But those are the by the book definitions of good and evil. But it still seems to be kind of subjective. And this is an interesting topic that I had with my wife not too long ago. She wanted to know if people who are cannibals, like the tribes, this came up, I guess, when, was it Biden said his uncle was eaten by cannibals during World War II or something. So my wife said, well, don't they know that it's wrong to eat human flesh? And I said, well, it really depends on how you're raised. And she's like, well, this is common knowledge. Everybody knows it's wrong to eat other human beings. I said, well, what if you're a baby and you grew up gnawing on a thumb cut off from some missionary? If you're raised with the belief that human flesh is just food and not that it is morally wrong, do you think it's wrong? Which brings up the question of where does morality come from, right? A cannibal, who's gnawing on a missionary who wandered into their territory, they don't consider it wrong. There are histories of warriors who would eat the flesh of their fallen enemy, believing that they would inherit the strength of their enemy. So, is it wrong? Well, by my Christian standards, yeah, it's wrong to eat human flesh. But what about that soccer team that crashed in the Andes and was forced to eat the dead on their plane just to survive? Is that wrong? So the whole thing about good and evil it seems to be subjective depending on the situation. And by the way, one reason why I thought that this would be a topic of discussion is that I got some comments in my last video about Trump being evil and malicious and a cruel son of a bitch that needs to be executed, and yet there are other people on this continent who believe that he is a good and righteous man who's trying to fix what has been broken for decades. So again, what is good? What is evil? What is truth? What are lies? Our definitions have been skewed based on our social media interactions and by the mainstream media. Again, go back and watch those two videos. But let's dig into morality. right? Because that's really the foundation of what we think is good and what we think is evil. Now, morality is really defined by one of three things. It's defined by either religion, or it's defined by government, or it's defined by money. Let's be honest, right? Money talks. So under Christian definitions of morality, a good book in the Bible is Deuteronomy. And in Deuteronomy, homosexual is an abomination. That's Deuteronomy 23, verses 17 to 18. Okay? Under Muhammad, homosexuals are to be stoned. That's in the Quran, chapter 11, verses 82 and 83. So by religious definitions, homosexuality is a sin and is wrong. But by government definitions, it's fine. By modern definitions, it's fine. So what is true? Which one is right? If we base our morality on a religion, then that is wrong. If we are basing it on government definitions, then it is fine. But yet we also have to look at the fact that all Western nations based their laws on the Christian fundamentals. And of those, the Ten Commandments come to mind, right? Number 1, you shall have no other God before me, right? Money, social media. If you worship money and you worship social media, are you really a good person? Are you? Number 2, you shall not make unto thee any graven image. Okay, this question is for the Catholics. Why do you guys have a different set of 10 commandments than the Protestants, where you drop this commandment and you split number 10 into 9 and 10? Is it because you guys have all of your saints? I'm just asking. I'm curious on this one. Number 3, you shall not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain. Now, this is personal experience. I know if I get angry enough and I slip and I use his name in vain, that bad things always happen to me. Now, this could be psychological, but what if it isn't? What if he's really paying attention? Something to think about. Number 4, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Is it wrong to have a day off? Is it wrong to have a day of rest? Number 5, honor thy mother and thy father. Please tell me why it's bad to honor your parents. If you guys don't honor your parents, I'd like to know why. Put it in the comments below. And what's your justification for not honoring your mother and your father? Now, there are some parents out there that are really, really bad. But, if we as a society want to better ourselves, maybe we should start honoring them, even if they are bad. Number 6, you shall not murder. Is it wrong? Think about this one for a second. The left think it's okay to kill Trump. It's been tried 3 times now. But yet, if one of their own gets shot by ICE, oh my God, the end of the world is nigh. And what about the cannibalism argument, right? What about Hitler? Is it wrong to assassinate political leaders that we don't agree with? So, think about this one, right? And how we can interpret this differently. 7, you shall not commit adultery. It breaks up families. Look, I've commented with my wife several times on this. I don't understand the society when the organ that is between your legs, it gets people in so much trouble. I always believed that what separated mankind, that includes you too, ladies, the thing that separates us from animals is our ability to use tools and our ability to control our urges. Okay, number 8, you shall not steal. Well, I've talked about this before in previous videos, where some people will argue that theft is justified if someone is down on their luck. One example in one of the comment sections of one of the prior videos is, what if someone steals baby formula because their baby is starving, right? They didn't feel that person should be arrested and prosecuted, and I argued that they most definitely should be arrested because they broke the law. They should be convicted based on the fact, did they steal it or did they not? Leniency should come at the time of sentencing. I'll commute your sentence because of this situation. We will, give you probation based on the situation that you're in. We'll show you how to sign up for welfare so that you can get the food you need for your child, right? The leniency comes at times of sentencing. the conviction is, did you do it or did you not, right? So, thou shalt not steal, again, subjective. You can be pressured into doing what you got to do, but there are consequences to your action, and I think that's where a lot of people fall down on this. Number 9, you shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. Is it wrong to lie? Well, I know that if I tell my wife she looks fat in those jeans, I'm going to get a smack. So, where's the line there? Now, personally, I'll take the smack. After 33 years, my wife knows better than to ask me a question because she knows I'm going to tell the truth. Personally, my moral standard is I find lying to be abhorrent, and I have actually punished my children more harshly for lying than for transgressions that they may have done by breaking other rules. I can't stand liars. And 10, you shall not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor anything that belongs to your neighbor. This is the one that the Catholics split into number 9 and 10 so that they could remove number 2. But is it wrong to be jealous, to be envious? I think it is. So what does all of this mean? In my mind, in my opinion, this is SeaBear's opinion, we need to reach a common definition for certain words. We cannot spin off on a tangent and everybody be operating under different definitions. When nobody can tell me what is right and wrong, when people cannot tell you what is good and evil, then we have a problem in this country. Is it wrong to teach pre-adolescent children about sex? How about gay sex? Should we be teaching 6- and 7-year-old kids that the thing that you go to the bathroom with can be shoved in someone else's back end? I'm sorry. These kids are innocents. They are pure. They have no knowledge of sex. And having that thrown at them at such a tender young age, in my opinion, is evil. You are destroying something that is pure and innocent. Some of you probably disagree with me, and I'll probably get some, hate mail for it. But children should be left to be children. They should not be sexualized. Look, if they have questions when they hit adolescence, then fine, let's answer those questions. But when they're children, can you imagine? Hypothetical. Let's play this, reducto ad absurdum, right? So let's say we have a small child. What if we taught him that adult teeth are evil? Because when they grow in, they knock out your old teeth and they make your mouth bleed. So that's evil. So we need to rip these things out before they kill you. Is it possible you could teach a child that? Absolutely. They're little bowls full of mush. You could convince them that adult teeth are evil because they're causing you to bleed and be in pain when they come in. What if we told them that pubic hair is evil because your body is changing? We don't want to change. Grab it by a handful and rip it out. I mean, this is the same. There's no difference. These children are pure and innocent, and they're going to believe whatever you tell them. And when you start introducing them to sexual content at an age when they know nothing about what's between their legs besides it's where you go to the bathroom, is evil. And we need to all agree upon that. And once we can all agree that a certain act is evil, then we need to enforce the laws passed to protect and not start questioning it. And anybody that's out there protesting or screaming that it's evil not to teach small children that, gay sex is normal, need to be locked up because they are perpetrating evil upon innocent. Another reason why I also think we have a problem with the definitions is that we have immigrants moving into this country that do not adapt to our customs or languages, etc. What they're doing is they're coming into this country and they're establishing their own little communities, their own little colonies, if you will, of their own culture and religion, and then they try to wag the dog. And then they start screaming when they meet resistance to that. We need to go back and establish simple definitions that everyone can agree to. What is right, what is wrong, what is good, and what is evil. And we need to enforce those definitions and stop letting people change the definitions based on what they feel like. If you want to know SeaBear's position, I am a Christian. I base right and wrong based on a Christian morality. Eating human flesh is wrong. Would I do it in a survival situation? I don't know. I've never been in that situation. If I am ever forced into that situation, I'll be sure to put up a podcast, SeaBear Goes Cannibal. But until that time, I think it is wrong. I think it is wrong that we indoctrinate children. I believe that it is wrong and evil to be judgmental against another human being without understanding their position. My wife commonly gets on my case because I'll be watching or reading news from the opposite side of the political spectrum that I reside. And my wife, she doesn't understand it. She says, "Why do you do that?" I said, "Well, look, it is the same reason that the other side of the political aisle doesn't understand me. I want to understand them so that I can reach common ground with them. Not to mention the fact that Sun Tzu said, 'Know thy enemy.' If you know yourself and you know your enemy, you'll win 100% of the battles. If you know yourself but don't know your enemy, you'll lose 50% of the battles." I think this nation needs to start listening. I think this nation needs to start showing compassion for the other side. I didn't vote for Joe Biden. I thought he was senile. I still think he's senile. I think, and that's no fault of his own. He's grown old. He's grown senile. But he was propped up to, because he was the one person they thought that could beat Trump. People that have Trump derangement syndrome need to sit back and try to understand, why are they being so triggered by this man? Have they listened to him? Have they listened to the other side's arguments? Or are they so steeped in their own vitriol that they cannot bring themselves to listen? This is the downfall of democracy. My way or the highway is not democracy. It is totalitarianism. That is fascism. And people that are out there screaming anti-fascist rhetoric, but yet don't understand the definition of it, are fools. The entire point of this podcast is we need to reach common ground by establishing common definitions. Trump, by definition, is not a fascist. Do I need to dig out my dictionary again? My way or the highway is not democracy. Good and evil needs to be defined and agreed to by everyone. Because when everybody has different definitions, we will never succeed as a nation. Please, for those on both sides of the political aisle, for those on opposing religious beliefs, try to find common ground. Listen to your opposite. Listen to your quote-unquote enemies. Walk a mile in their shoes. Ever hear of that one? Right? The left claim to be the compassionate side, but yet they have no compassion for those who don't listen to them. Again, my way or the highway. You do what I want you to do, or I'm going to have you canceled. I'm going to go on social media and destroy you. Does that sound compassionate? Does that sound right? We need to fix this, people. And I'm hoping this podcast will at least enlighten some of you to listen to the opposite side of whatever. Whether that's politics, whether that's religion, or whether that's money. Because you have rich people out there that think poorly of those who do not have money. Everybody needs to find common ground. And try to remember that this is a free nation, and that we should live and let live. And we should all, both sides of the aisle, of the religion, of the money, both sides need to listen to the other side. And don't just shut down thinking that the other side is inherently evil, that they need to be eliminated, they need to be canceled, they need to be murdered. We need to start listening. Seriously. Some of you who listen to this podcast need to open your minds and listen to what the other person has to say. Ask them, why? Why do you believe that? What makes you believe what you believe? I would definitely love to have a beer with some of you who think that Trump is Hitler. I am a student of history. I've read The Rise and Fall of the Third Reich. Biden was more Hitler-esque than Trump is. And I have documented proof to substantiate my side. But the odds are the other side of the political spectrum won't listen to me. And that, not just me, but the fact that people are not willing to listen to the other side and be judgmental and jump to conclusions based on echo chambers and supposition, that, in SeaBear's opinion, is evil. And with that said, that's it for this one. This is the SeaBear, out. I know I said this was over, but this is a postscript, PS, an addendum. This is a rant. Hide your kids and hide your wives, because I'm getting salty in about the next 2 seconds. 1, 2. I just finished watching the State of the Union, and I've got to say that any bitch or son of a bitch that doesn't fucking stand and applaud for our American heroes, you're a fucking piece of evil shit that has no place sitting in our house in Washington, D.C. If you can't get off your fucking lazy ass and applaud a 100-year-old man for getting a Congressional Medal of Honor, if you can't get off your fucking ass and applaud for a chief warrant officer who saved lives being wounded piloting a helicopter, getting his Congressional Medal of Honor, if you can't get off your fucking lazy ass and applaud our hockey team for winning the gold, you are evil. And if you think they're right, you're evil too. You better take a hard look in the mirror, because that is the gospel truth. Here are those dictionary definitions for good and evil that I cut out of the podcast in order to keep things flowing. It's almost 5 minutes long, but if you want to hear them, here they are. Okay, so let's plug in dictionary definitions of good and evil. The definitions I'm using today are straight out of the American Heritage Dictionary, the second collegiate edition. This is the dictionary that was issued to me at the Academy in 1986 when I walked through the doors. Now, the reason why I am using a 1980s edition dictionary and not Wikipedia or any of the newer quote-unquote sources of truth is that the modern day sources of quote-unquote truth have been skewed by social pressures, and Wikipedia can actually be edited by the public, so I take anything I read on Wikipedia with a great grain of salt. So with that said, let's read evil. Evil, adjective. 1. Morally bad or wrong, wicked. 2. Causing ruin, injury, or pain, harmful. 3. Characterized by or indicating future misfortune, ominous, as in evil omens. 4. Purportedly bad or blameworthy, infamous, an evil reputation. 5. Characterized by anger or spite, malicious. 5. Characterized by anger or spite, malicious, an evil temper. As a noun, 1. Something that causes harm, misfortune, or destruction. 2. Something morally bad or wrong, wickedness. 3. An evil force or power. 4. Something that is a cause or source of suffering, injury, or destruction, evils of war. Now let's read for good. Good is a little bit longer. As an adjective, 1. Having positive or desirable qualities, bad or poor. 2. Serving the end desired, suitable, a good outdoor paint. 3. Sub A, not spoiled or ruined, the milk is still good. B, in excellent condition, sound, a good tooth. 4. Sub A, superior to the average, satisfactory, a good student. Sub B, designating the U.S. government grade of meat higher than standard and lower than choice. 5, sub A high quality, good book. Sub B, discriminating, good taste. 6, attractive, handsome, good looks. 7, beneficial, salutary, a good night's rest. 8, compliment, skilled, a good machinist. 9, complete, thorough, a good workout. 10, sub A, safe, sure, a good investment. B, valid or true, a good reason. Sub C, genuine, real, a good dollar bill. 11, sub A, ample, substantial, a good income. Sub B, beautiful, a good table. 12, full, a good mile from here. 13, sub A, pleasant, enjoyable, having a good time at the party. B, propitious, favorable, good weather, a good omen. 14, sub A, of moral excellence, upright, a good man. Sub B, benevolent, kind, a good soul. Sub C, loyal, staunch, a good Republican. 15, sub A, well-behaved, obedient, a good child. Sub B, socially correct, proper, good manners. As a noun, 1, sub A, something that looks good. Sub B, a good, valuable, or useful or aspect. 2, welfare, benefit for the common good. 3, goodness, virtue, there is much good in him. 4, goods. Sub A, commodities, wares, frozen goods. Sub B, portable personal property. Sub C, used with a sing or plural verb, fabric, material. 5, goods, slang, incriminating information or evidence. Tried to get the goods on him, adjective, informal. Well, idioms, as good as, practically, nearly, as good as new. For good, permanently, forever, good and. Informal, very, thoroughly, I'll do it when I'm good and ready. No good, informal. 1, worthless. 2, futile, useless. It's no good arguing with him. To the good. 1, advantageous, for the best. 2, in an advantageous financial position. Ended up to the good. And this time I mean it. This is the Raging SeaBear, out.
I have no idea.